All right, we are on air. Happy August, everybody, if possible. This is our community outreach meeting for Backdrop CMS, where we're here to talk about all of the things that we should be doing to help everybody learn how amazing Backdrop is. And there's always more things than we can do, but we're still interested in getting more ideas. Before we jump into the agenda, let's go around and do some quick introductions. You can share what your name is, where you're calling from, and if there's anything fun you want to share with us, 30 seconds or less. Let's start with Tim.
Hi, I'm Tim, St. Paul Tim, coming from Deerwood, Minnesota. Yesterday, I worked all afternoon outside here with a flock of geese pecking at my feet, and I was hoping they'd be here today, but they're not, so sorry.
Sorry, they might be going south.
I hope not yet, but.
Luke, would you like to go next?
I'm Luke McCormack. I live in right now in San Ramon, California. There's usually a flock of ducks that live in a pond outside of my house, but I haven't seen them for a while. I hope they're up visiting Tim. Otherwise, the coyotes might have eaten them. I'm not quite sure because that happens. I do web product management and various things like that.
Great. Sarvashri, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I'm Sarvashri, and I'm working on a project. It's Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Backdrop. So I'm writing it up as I'm learning, and I'm learning slowly. I realized to install Backdrop on my own system, I have to now learn PHP a little bit, at least enough to use PHP MyAdmin to create a database so that I can start up a local system of Backdrop, which I wanted to play with in addition to Tim's system, because I have 4 or 5 websites I need to convert from Drupal 7. And that became more pressing because I wanted to post a video on my Drupal 7 site, which I had never done before, and it wouldn't let me do it. I couldn't put a video up on my Drupal 7 site. So I think I need to convert that one to Backdrop first. Now, my question is, if I put up Backdrop, is it going to be difficult for me to put a video on?
I think we can help you with that, Sarvashri.
Okay, it's already set up for that?
We can help you. There's a couple of different ways you can do it, but I would say when you get there, when you're ready for that, you can ping us in Gitter or whatever your method of chatting with people, Google, however you want to talk to us, and we can.
I need to know how to get hold of you guys because I want to get a hold of Luke for something and whatnot, and I don't have everybody's email or whatever you use to keep in touch. So is there a place for me to get all that?
Well, most of us use Zulip. We don't have Zulip, which is our chat program. I'm sure I told you about it before.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about the fact that we don't have like.
Let's finish the intros and then make this an agenda item.
Yeah, come back. Anyway, that's
good idea. We'll come back to that
stuff.
Okay, let's see. Matthias, you just joined us. We're just introducing ourselves, saying your name, where you're from, and if there's anything fun you want to share with us in 30 seconds or less.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, Matthias from Switzerland, doing front-end work in Backdrop CMS, and yeah, that's it.
Great. Let's see. Is that everyone? Luke? Yes. Okay.
Greg,
okay.
I just joined. Hi, guys.
Welcome, Greg. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. I'm Greg. I'm joining from Greece. I just woke up. Excuse me. So I was just napping. Just joining to check things out and see how it can help.
Great. I'm
Joseph is here too.
Joseph's here,
yeah.
I am in California. I have a cat on my desk. Really exciting. Okay, let's move on to the agenda.
Joseph want to introduce himself?
Is Joseph live?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm Joseph from Las Vegas. I'm a backend developer, and I've missed like a month and a half of meetings because I started like a new large project, and I also had 2 week-long camping trips. So yeah.
Good to hear from you.
Welcome back.
But how could you tell he was here?
Because there's a little square with him,
Where?
Still picture.
and he's
If you
on the
go into-
participant list.
Oh, I found it. I had a setting on that said hide non-video participants. And I averted it. Whew. Sorry about that, Joseph. Okay. Now can we start the meeting? Not missing anyone else. Okay, good. So usually what we do with this outreach meeting is review the things that we said that we would do last time and see how we're happening, how we're moving forward on those. And sometimes there's a bunch of stuff that happens that we didn't necessarily plan that's fantastic that we like to talk about too. So let's see, since last time we met, we had talked about blog posts on backdropcms.org. The last one we published was on July 17th, which was about 2 weeks ago. Luke had volunteered to do a post on the new core initiatives that we're adopting. I don't know if you've had time to work on that yet. No. So anyone could write that blog post. So don't feel like you have to do it if you're completely overwhelmed. I would say if you think you can't do it, we could like re-release it. But essentially the idea would be just to say, hey world, starting this year, the Backdrop community has decided to adopt initiatives. These are things that we want to stay focused on longer than an individual core release, and we believe they're important, and these are the ones we're starting with. Ta-da, and that's it. And of course, prettier words than the ones I used. But it's just something to let people know that we have them. And then in the future, if we add more, we can add more blog posts about them. We're hoping to include a blog post on each initiative. So Luke, because you're an initiative lead, I would rather you spend some time working on your ready to wear initiative blog post than this one if you do have limited time. So I think that's perfectly fine. If you aren't able to do it, we could turn it.
Let me push this one back because I've got other things that are overflowing.
Okay, sounds great. So we will need a volunteer to write that blog post. I don't know if anyone here wants to do that, but I'm just going to throw that out there. Feel free to ping us in Zulip or the issue queue or wherever else. If there's anyone, Twitter, however you want to let us know if you're interested, right? Another thing we talked about doing last time was updating the dashboard notifications. So within Backdrop sites, we have the ability to push an update out to people. Tim, I don't know if you volunteered to do that last time or not, but I put your name down here.
I did. I think I've been the one that has been doing them so far.
Yeah.
And here, let me, I'll drop it into Zulip. I know not everybody's going to see that, but a quick screenshot of what they currently are.
Okay.
I couldn't remember exactly which one we decided to prioritize. I have a link. Right now, the 3 news items are leadership updates, and then it says several announcements regarding recent changes to the Backdrop CMS Project Management Committee, and it links to that tag, which I noticed that you did have sort of set up now. There are several, I think all the recent posts are tagged properly. And then I just have a link to the recent blog post on Backdrop as a viable alternative to Drupal 7. And then we do still have a link to become an advocate for a new feature in Backdrop. So
Okay.
those are the 3 currently visible notifications. If somebody has ideas.
That's great. I just wanted to make sure that we had gotten those pushed out since our last meeting. It sounds like we have.
Well, I think it would be good every 2 weeks to just quickly, also see if there's better ones. Right? Does anybody have an idea of something that should replace any of those?
Yeah, I think I just looked at our news page. I don't think anything else on here is super important that we need to notify people about. But maybe there's something that's not in our news that comes up. I can't think of anything right now.
So since Matthias is here, there's a showcase that is not unpublished. So Matthias asked help with the language and stuff. So I did a review, and I promised that one of you, Jane, or team would do a final review, look over, and then we can publish that. So I'm hijacking the section to just mention that. So it's the one about Association of Swiss Canton Argo.
Swiss Farmer Association.
Yeah, association.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd be happy to do that today. I'd love to see it.
Yeah. The point is that it uses a lot of node relations, which is
when it comes to building, the most expensive part is going to be the batteries for an off-grid system. Solar panels are cheap, inverters and chargers are cheap. Everything's cheap, but the batteries cost a lot of money. And a lot of people want lithium batteries, but they can't handle the initial cost. They are very, very expensive. And what people want is...
Thank you.
What was that?
I don't know. I couldn't even figure it out. All right.
Somebody had a video playing in the background.
Yeah.
It sounded like the videos were taking over because there were more than one or something. Anyway, I feel bad for whoever that was because that happens to me all the time, and you can't figure out which tab it's coming from. And anyway,
but
I thought it was me. For sure.
I did too.
Maybe to make it short, that the story is about that the use case is about using a lot of relations and a lot of content types in a project, which might be different, or which might be an advantage to WordPress.
Yeah, that's great.
That's the point.
I don't know if it's worthwhile putting a link on the dashboard, Tim, to the showcase area. But that might be something like maybe we can just kind of say like on a big picture, like what are people running Backdrop interested in, and seeing other Backdrop sites might not be one of them, but it might be. So maybe food for thought since we're talking about it. All right, next on the list is social media. Tim, you've been doing a great job. Thank you. Luke, were you able to confirm that you got access to the Facebook admin stuff? I think I saw something when I wasn't around where you were asking about it.
Yeah. I was going to ask about that. I don't have access to it.
You don't? Okay, so I gave access to somebody with your name. But I will confirm that it is the right you, because it might not be.
I think you said you gave access to me too, and I'm not sure I have it.
How long ago was that?
It was like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, no, I would have seen it. I've been in there, and
Yeah.
I'm not an admin.
Okay, I'll try again. It took me a really long time to figure out where the settings were. And then when I was in there, I'm like, I'm just going to give it to a bunch of people so that the next time this happens, I'm not the only one who could do it. So that's why I gave it to you, Tim. I think I gave it.
Jen, I sent you a message on Facebook.
Okay.
With the button to hit.
Okay. Well, when I log back in, very helpful. Okay, so I'll take a look at that again today and make sure that you have the access you need. I'll ping you afterwards, just to be sure.
Cool.
Did I get it right from conversations last week or so that there's 2 groups in Facebook? Two Backdrop related groups?
Yes. Yeah. There's ours, and then there's our Facebook page, and then somebody set up a Facebook group,
Right.
who is, and I've been in touch with them. I actually Facebook friended them this last week. They seem, friendly, if mysterious.
Just to be clear, there were only, I think before Luke and I joined, I think there were only 4 members.
Yeah.
And there hadn't been any posts for like a year until this one guy just recently posted. And then we found it because he posted in the Drupal group. It's like, hey, the backdrop community must not have a lot of support because there's only 4 people in their Facebook group. But we've corrected that. Luke did a good job and replied to that.
Yeah, the guy actually made me an admin of his group.
Yeah.
So, but it's the page that's the significant one that we should.
Well, it reminds me that there is like a Facebook group on LinkedIn as well. I don't know that it has any activity either, but it might be that we should have a backdrop group in LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm quite sure it's there. I haven't looked at it in over a year, I think, so I don't know what's going on. But we might want to. Did you?
And the most recent post was Tim saying, "Hey, it looks like there's not anyone posting in here." Like a year ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another thing where I think, you know, if we wanted to use it more, we could. But right. I don't know what people use anymore. I feel like Facebook is something you can kind of count on there always being a huge audience in, which is good. I see a lot of activity in LinkedIn, but I don't really understand the motives for it, I guess.
Well, my point is just that we should be aware of those groups and maybe just check every once in a while to see if there's activity. And, you know, I don't know that we should necessarily invest a lot in them unless we see interest. But I think we ought to at least know that they're out there, and once in a while sort of check in and see, and at least be members of, right? Like of the 4 people that were in this backdrop group on Facebook, none of them were people I knew. So.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
But in your opinion, how important is Facebook? I never used it for getting answers to Drupal questions or backlog questions. How?
Yeah, I don't
know.
I feel like what people use Facebook for is, I mean, I don't know either. Some people use Facebook for everything, but I feel like it's definitely more of a social tool than like a work tool. But I still think because there's a list of like what your interests are, people put down their work skills and interests there too, because you know, getting good jobs places is sometimes dependent on who you know, and a lot of the people you know are people you know through other people, and you connect through networks like Facebook. So even though I feel like that's not a place where you might go for Drupal questions and answers, it might be a place where you have a collection of like Drupal friends, and that might be a good place to sort of spread the word about Backdrop, even if it's not.
Well, the Drupal group, the Drupal group on Facebook looked like it had some activity with people asking questions. Didn't you think so?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I mean it's pretty common with social networks for there to be a lot of off-label use. I mean I'm astonished at the things that people do in like Instagram and Pinterest in ways that just don't fit in any way with you know the defined purpose of the thing. So just you know, people do connections, and particularly since we're interested in growing the size of our base. So like there were a bunch of people that had found, we were talking about Backdrop on Facebook that seemed like good candidates for you know, getting energy.
I know a lot of people who use Facebook for everything and absolutely refuse to touch any other social media platform.
Right.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I don't have Facebook, Twitter, or whatever, so I don't understand that. But I realized that a lot of non-technical people, and usually decision makers as well, if they don't, so they rely on it as a source of activity. I should say, as in, if you don't have a lot of followers, it means that not a lot is happening. So,
yeah. I think I'm probably the only like actual like enthusiastic Facebook user here, which I am. So I'll tell you without hijacking any longer that for me, it tends to have a stronger connection. Well, LinkedIn too, with like actual person. It's not a handle. It's not there's not a lot of like multiple groups, or there's not a lot of bots. I mean, when you find someone on Facebook, you tend to find actual human being, and you know who it is, and that to me is a pretty valuable piece of it. Anyway.
Okay. Interesting. Luke, I'm going to ping you after this meeting because I don't have the thing that's in the screenshot you sent me on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
They redid their UI I think since you took. I'll
I just did it like a week ago.
I don't know.
It could be there's different, I mean, they roll out things.
Yeah, I think they do like incremental rollouts, and they have like 10 different versions of their UI that different people are on.
Yeah, we could be like on different A/B tests for your A and IB. So who knows? Okay, newsletter. Oh, wait, was there anything else on social media? We mentioned LinkedIn, and I think that was okay. Newsletter. We need to send a newsletter. I think the last time we had this meeting, we talked about trying to be ready so that once 17 comes out, we can send the newsletter to them. If we get it going before, then that would be fantastic. But it would be better to get ourselves set up for a good place in the future.
How did the thing with Maltic? Did you ever look into Maltic some more or not?
I did. So my general thought with Mautic is that I don't really want to run it ourselves. And so I want to make sure we're not going to hit any of the limits.
There was another system that I used to use on the Mac, Mac's Bulk Mailer, MAX Bulk Mailer. And I had to give it up because it didn't have two-factor identification or double opt-in. And it does now. So that was another one that we were thinking because it was easy to use. That was the nice thing. You could create nice looking emails with it and all that without much trouble.
Yeah. I think somewhere, I think in the backdropcms.org queue, at one point we had a list of requirements for what our email management software needed to do. And that was at the point where we were moving off of MailChimp and onto the next platform. So I need to go dig that up and make sure that whatever we choose meets all those requirements. But I remember the hardest thing was getting a form we could embed on all of our websites. So that's one thing I'm concerned about. Sign up form. Okay. Events. So we had set dates for September event, which is now really close. It's like a month and a week away.
Yeah, I wasn't in on that decision. I saw that 2 weeks ago and we never talked about it, and I'm a little nervous about that date, but I like that we have a date.
Yeah.
I
mean, I think like in terms of the amount of organization we need to do ahead of time, it can be anything from like the kinds of organization you do for a huge event to nothing. And we could do a very impromptu, like who's here, what do you want to do, bar campy style online thing. So I think just the fact that we have a date and we have a plan is good. And if anyone has time and wants to do more organizing ahead of time, that would be great. But I also think just having an online place for everyone to meet and share ideas is also important. And so I think if we are okay with that, then the only thing we need to do between now and then is do some promotion so that everybody who might want to attend an event knows that we're having an event, which would be just like, you know, writing up a blog post and posting it on Twitter and posting it on Facebook and linking to it from wherever we have relevant information. And that's really all that's needed. Maybe a registration form. Optional registration form.
Well, I'm a fan of not making things too complicated if you don't need to, and I agree that we probably could do something as long as our expectations are, you know, reasonable. That we could do something pretty quick. What is the date? I'm looking for the date right now. Is it on here?
It's not on the today's agenda, but I think I have it.
Okay. Well, I can look it up afterwards, but it was in September, right?
The 18th and the 19th of September.
Oh, that's more than 6 weeks away, so that's good. I think we should do something. I think we maybe ought to schedule a special half-hour meeting to. It's hard to announce it until we know like what we're announcing.
Yeah.
Like, is it going to be sessions? Are we looking for people to submit them, or is it more bar campy, which I'm fine with?
Yeah.
But I need to know that because people are going to ask.
And I think last time we talked about it, we talked about having like Saturday the 19th as sort of like a sprint day or community coding day or something that was less formal, and having Friday be a more formal sort of pay attention to your computer all day thing. But yeah, I agree. We should figure out what our more formal day is going to look like. And yeah, and we might even not need to have people submit sessions, just to submit session ideas might be enough. And then if we posted the list of all the ideas, then, you know, other people could show up later and be like, oh, I want to talk about that. And then if we want to do a bar campy style thing, they'd already have, you know, a potential agenda ready to go.
Yep.
But
I
yeah,
like it.
okay. Do you have a time, Tim, where you think we should talk about it? Do you want to do it?
We could after the meetings today, or sometime tomorrow is good.
Okay, I'm free immediately after the 1 o'clock meeting today. I don't know if anyone else wants to join in. We can ask in the developer meeting today also and see if anyone there wants to join. But I think that's a good plan.
Okay, anybody that won't be available later that has anything urgent to say about what they want to see in that? No? Okay.
Okay, I just put it on my calendar so that I wouldn't forget.
Just an
Don't walk
anecdote
away
on
from your computer.
an anecdote on virtual events is I went to I briefly went to the Chicago meetup last night, Drupal meetup, and they had like 24 participants.
Nice.
Surprised me.
Yeah, I know the New Jersey meetup has also been doing a lot of online stuff, and it's been going really well for them. There are a bunch of people who attend local meetups who aren't local, and they're like, please keep doing this after everything opens up, because I wanted to. It's cute.
I've been to the Drupal meetup in Zurich last week. And we were three people, and the entire mood was very bad about the future of Drupal. I was very surprised.
Well, that's why we're here, I suppose. Okay, so that was it for our to-do list. So usually then we talk about what's going on in the world right now. Anything important we want to share with the world of Backdrop. Let's see. There is a Drupal camp, online Drupal camp in Colorado, I think this weekend.
Did anyone attend the one in Asheville?
Next week. I didn't attend it. I think I don't know. I feel like I know someone who attended it, but I don't remember who it was. I don't know. Colorado is 14th and August 14th, 15th, and 16th, and I'm going to give a talk on upgrading. Luke isn't here, but I was going to ask him if he wanted to do his what's that called, where you're like the upbeat, happy, sales pitchy voice. I don't know. He's like the good cop. Anyway, I want to see if you want to do that again. Okay.
Didn't we? Sorry, Jen. Didn't we have a section where it was also listing? So I see the upcoming events on the side. Wasn't there a link there for past events, or was that my idea?
I don't
see how we have. There's the mentions and it says more mentions and then upcoming events, and I think it had past events as well, or was it my idea?
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either.
Okay then. And the tweets block there is there without tweets, by the way.
I see.
So I'm looking at the event. Yeah,
I'm seeing
the
tweets.
events page.
I'm seeing tweets too.
Okay, maybe it's my ad blocker then. Okay, yeah. Ignore me. Sorry.
Let's see. In the world of events, Bad Camp is going to have a backdrop summit again this year and a backdrop training, which is a half day, which is exciting. I don't know if anyone else is doing any other events around the world, but it looks like a lot of them are moving online. And so I'm excited about that because I can go to more events with less traveling. So anyway, I don't know how much of the event stuff is worth promoting to people via our normal channels. I think maybe once we have things on the events page on backdropcms.org, that's probably enough, but we might want to include like check out our upcoming events on social media to drive traffic to those pages.
What camp is this you mentioned?
Bad Camp. Bay
Bad?
Area.
BAD?
Yeah,
Yep.
it's the Bay Area Drupal camp. It's what it, when we physically met, it was one of the largest Drupal camps in the country.
Okay.
The largest free Drupal event in
Free.
the world.
Yep. Although
Anything else really exciting going on we want to talk about? I know, Matthias, you've been doing a bunch of work on the landing page for our ad campaign. I don't know if you want to give an update on that, but I can talk about the ad grant process afterwards.
I think there are a lot of people who are really desperately looking for alternatives to Drupal. And that's what we try to achieve with the new landing page. That's basically it.
Okay.
I promise I'm going to finish reading that today.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So our plan here was to apply for Google ad grants from Google, which is something for nonprofits. And then once we get ad grants, we'll have a budget of money that we can put towards a particular search term. And we're hoping that it would be something like Drupal alternative. And then we drive traffic specifically from that ad to this new landing page. We sent a request to the Software Freedom Conservancy about the ad grants program and said like, hey, we need a nonprofit to be our legal entity. We're going to put your name down for this. Is that okay? And they came back to us and said, yes, we think so. One of our partners did this in the past and didn't find it beneficial, but before you do it now, we want to have our lawyers look over the terms. And so we said, okay, and we didn't hear anything back from them. And then we followed up again and said, hey, have your lawyers had a chance to look at it? And we gave them very clear instructions about like what we needed from them, which is essentially like, we want to put your name in this form, and that was it. And then we didn't hear anything back again. And so this past week, I emailed them and said, we're going to move forward with the application process, but if the lawyer finds anything they don't like, let us know and we can withdraw. So rather than sort of waiting on them, we're going to try and do these two things in parallel, because I'm not sure how long that application process is even going to take. And I do feel like right now is the perfect time in terms of getting, people are thinking about Drupal 7 end of life. We got an extra year, but everyone's still thinking about it. And I think now's the time to get our message out, and I don't want to miss that window. So I think if we can be ready to hit the ground when they say, yes, it's fine, I think that would be best for us. So that's where we're at with that.
Okay.
Is there anything else relevant going on right now in the world of Backdrop that we need to share with everyone?
Yeah.
What was that?
I have something when you're done. Oh,
yeah.
There, I see it. Cool.
Launch today.
We have a German backdrop site launching today.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually I meant to mention this. Do we plan to enable like multilingual on the official site and then be translated? Because I saw that someone mentioned they were asking about whether there's a German, I think, or a Spanish one, a Spanish community. Yeah, I remember that one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure. I think that the Drupal had the groups thing, but they never translated the main site. Do we ever like plan to do that?
I think it will be dependent on the size of our community and having enough resources to maintain something like that. We talked about it a long time ago, and there was a bunch of interest, particularly in a Spanish version, because at the time we had a ton of people in Latin America who were interested in Backdrop. But we also realized we didn't have that many resources. And if we do have people who are interested in doing translations, I'd much rather have them translating this software than the website to talk about the software. That said, if we do feel like we need something like a landing page in any given language, I think we can add that at any time, because the amount of work taken to maintain one page is significantly less than maintaining the entire site. So I would say let's be open to adding information in other languages, but maybe not translating the entire site until we're sure we have resources to support that.
Or if not the entire site, maybe translating the
User guide.
blog posts. The actual content, like when people are interested.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the argument to that is that that's why things like Google Translate are there for. But still,
Yeah, I mean, we could even drop in like a Google Translate widget, right? Where it would then try and translate everything on the page. That might be a good first step where it wouldn't be any overhead from us. But yeah, it is something to think about.
I think the goal of the new, I put it into the chat. The goal of the new German website is to reach people who are desperately looking for a Drupal alternative. I can only speak for the German market, but this is a huge number.
That's great.
What are your content plans for this, Matthias? How much updating do you expect?
We don't have any plans. The next step is to make a plan. It's important to have a regular update schedule and to address questions that users have. Right. It's a huge.
So it looks to me like it's primarily kind of a basic informational page.
Yeah.
With like a blog, so you can post timely updates.
Yeah.
But you're not going to try to recreate a lot of content from the main site. At this time, it looks like that could change, I suppose.
The plan is to have more of specific help for specific problems, which could easily be translated into English.
Right. Well, I recommend that in terms of our foreign language approach, that we embrace this effort.
Yeah.
Do anything we can to support it and sort of see what the interest is and see what kinds of, like if people start saying, well, now we've got this, here's the next thing we want, right, in German. And that would give us a sense of what people are looking for. And so, and eventually I could see wrapping this kind of German content into the English site, but I say, let's try this out first and see what happens.
Yeah.
Do we want to put a section in the official site, like a language specific affiliate or endorsed sites for Backdrop, so we can list people's community?
I'm not sure when we use the word endorsed, but I think we should definitely promote these websites somewhere on the org, whether it's like our current resource page or a dedicated page to like check out these other sites about Backdrop or whatever. But I do think I think we should promote it somehow.
Yeah, for now the resources page seems more appropriate for it since we don't have anything else.
Okay.
Yeah, might do that.
Maybe it's just an example. I found out new things about views today, and I found out new things about views for the last 10 years. Views is such a powerful tool. And if you're new to Backdrop or new to Drupal, you don't know.
Yeah, I still find views all the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
No?
Same boat. The other thing that I wanted to mention, and this got a bit of traction over before like 2 or 3 weeks ago, it's backdropcms.org issue Q 484, the one about the pillars and the personas. And I would like at some point to get that, to move that forward. What would be sort of like the low-hanging fruit? Should we create unpublished pages for the 3 pillars that we decided, and then a view also published, and then take it from there?
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead.
Layout. If you need layouts and stuff for them too, we can do that. We can do it all.
Yeah, we can do it later. I'll just go with a really, really low hanging fruit, which is just copy paste the beautiful ideas that we had there, and then we can iterate on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Are we done with the last item? I got distracted for a second. Because
Yeah.
I want to go back to Sarvashri's point earlier about how to contact people in the Drupal community. I think something like this has come up from time to time. I've been thinking the last few days about what is the equivalent of the Drupal.org profile page for Backdrop, right? And I don't, like, there's something like that on Backdrop.org, but I don't know. I felt a little bit like when you're in the forums, it would be nice to be able to link to somebody's profile and see the kind of information I see on Drupal.org, but we don't really have that. And I don't think what's on sometimes I'm thinking about like somebody in the community, I want to tweet at them and I don't know what their Twitter name is. And it's like, well, where do I go to find that?
Yeah. So I think this also stems back to the fact that, our original plan was to have one login system on backdropcms.org, and all of your user data would transfer over to any other site you logged in, whether it was the API site or the forum site or the localized site or whatever it was. Right. In the same way that Drupal handles like events where you go to register for DrupalCon and ask you to sign into Drupal.org. Right. But we never got that single sign-in system working smoothly enough. Like we got it like half working, and that was worse than having it not working. So we turned it off. Mm-hmm. But the long-term goal would be that when you click on like a username on the forum, it would take you to the main website and you would see that user's data there. And I think getting that integration worked out now, especially that we have more people on the forum, is becoming more important. And so we were originally using a module called Bakery, which was named that way because it makes cookies so that you can log into multiple websites. But there are other single sign-on solutions today that didn't exist when Bakery was made. And I've been talking to Nate about it a little bit because he's been working on single sign-on solutions for enterprise clients lately. And I'm like, speaking of single sign-on, and to me, they all sound really terrible. It sounds like there's no like winner, but it might be worth redoing comparison, like let's look at the pros and cons of each and see if there isn't something that might be easier for us to set up.
There's an existing issue that we have again in the backdropcms.org queue. It's issue number 332. So maybe you want to just pick that up. It's that one has a title specific to the Bakery module. Maybe we want to make it generic and say enable single sign-on in general. I'll do that just now.
Yeah, we might want, because this issue is very specific to Bakery, we might want a new issue that's like, see if we even need to do this. That we can use as more of an evaluation tool.
So do we want to enable single sign-on a la Facebook or GitHub or Google thing? So
that's another thought, right? Is that we eventually want to be able to link people's GitHub profiles so that maintainers of contrib modules can get access to those nodes. It would be really great if GitHub was the only login we required, but that does limit our community to people who have GitHub accounts. And so I think there's a decision there that needs to be made. If we want to be able to have more people who aren't coders, that's not maybe the right place to start. But yeah, I think maybe we should spend some time in that issue in particular, weighing out all of these things to try and figure out if we need what direction we should go.
Okay. Sarvashri, in the meantime, if you want to get in touch with somebody, I think most of us do it through Zulip. And if you need help getting connected to Zulip, you know how to contact me and I can help you. Otherwise, you're going to have to just contact them, Google them, any of us, or look for us on GitHub is another good way.
Backdropcms.org still is the definitive place because everybody on there should have a user page, and every user page has a contact tab if they've allowed you to contact them via that way. So it works just like Drupal.org. So that would give you an easy way to email people if you were already on that site.
I've never used that, so I'll do a test and see how well that works. But like, I'm not imagining how I would find Gregory on Drupal.org, because unless he's listed on the contractors page, how else would I find him?
Same handle. So if you look for Kronos,
So is there a search box? I'd type in a search box your name, and that would take
You
me.
might have
there's Google. Like if you do Google and say Drupal Kronos, I come up, and the same goes with GitHub.
No, we're talking backdrop. How we would find the backdrop page for you?
Same, I think.
Yeah,
Let me
that
do
is
that.
a good point too, is that like I URL hack it, where I always just go back to CMS storage /user and paste in their username, but you need to know that in order to do
Right.
that. I think having and Gregory, you I think opened an issue about this before, but having a way to search for people by name would be good, because of their accounts on forum and other sites, but also by location, I think is what you'd originally asked for.
Yeah, that was an old issue. Yeah.
So maybe we need to revisit that one and get that user search.
From memory, the blocker there was that initially the default when user accounts were being created, the country was because Afghanistan was listed alphabetically, like at the top of the list, everyone was registered as being from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
I think at some point we agreed that maybe we wanted to blank that field out, like in the database, assuming that we don't have many people from the community there, and then sort of like send a notification to the people that are already registered from that country or that don't have a country set, that, hey, if you want to do that, opt into that. It means that people can locate you if you want that, and you can locate others.
Well, I just Googled backdrop CMS Clonus, and it took me to your backdrop page, and that totally surprised me. I do that all the time for Drupal.org, but I didn't even know I could do that for backdrop. So
That's great. I didn't know that would work either.
Yeah.
Okay. Great ideas, everybody. It is 1:05, and I think it's time we switch gears to the other meeting. But thank you all for joining. Great ideas on how to make backdrop better and how to spread the word and all the things. So thank you all for your feedback. I'm going to end the meeting, which will kick us all out, but then feel free to come right back for the next one.